Hi, welcome to Yoga Below the Belt, where every posture is cued with the health of your pelvic floor in mind. I'm Tracy, and this class is focused entirely on postures that are intended to help you stretch the muscles of your pelvic floor. The only prop you'll need today will be a yoga block, and ideally a nice flat floor with a yoga mat. And if you need a moment to go grab a block, go ahead and pause the video now and grab what you need. And now we'll get started. Before we move into our postures, let's start practice with a little bit of grounding. I invite you to stand nice and tall, feet hip distance apart, knees are nice and soft, and bring your shoulders up and back and down, palms facing forward as you stand nice and tall and deepen your breath. If you're comfortable with it, I invite you to close your eyes. Ignore the noises in your space around you. Ignore any of the stresses of your day. Recognize that they exist and set them aside for the next 30 minutes. And bring your attention to your breath. On the inhale, feel the chest rise. And on the exhale, drop. On the next inhale, feel the rib cage expand as the chest rises. And exhale, the chest relaxes. On this next inhale, raise the chest, expand the ribs, and let your belly poke out with the air. And exhale. Make the next breath the deepest you've taken all day and feel the air move all the way down to your pelvic floor. Relax your joints, relax your knees, and continue to breathe for 3 more deep breaths. Really feel the belly fill with air and stretch the pelvic floor. And now that you've taken a moment to focus on your body and to set your goals, and when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and join me for practice today. Our first posture for stretching the pelvic floor will be mountain pose. And I invite you to use a block or maybe a rolled up towel if you don't have one to help give some support for stretching the pelvic floor. Now I ask you to stand feet hip distance apart, and your block can go between your calves, just a gentle squeeze, or in the upper thighs, which of course for some may mean stepping the feet a little further out, and that's fine. What you don't want to do is have the block on the knees. Really bad habit. Don't start it if you can help it. Choose where you want your block, and as you're squeezing the block, you're helping activate and stretch the muscles of the pelvic floor, and you're also engaging your booty. Now, if you haven't taken one of my classes in a while, remember anytime you stand upright, you want to have your hips in a neutral position. So you can join me and rock the hips forward and back. And you'll come to the point where if you were to put the base of your palm on your hip joint and the center finger down towards your pubic bone, you'll see that it's nice and level when you've reached a neutral position. So sticking the booty out too much can hurt your back, creating too much curve. Tucking the tailbone under too much can put strain on the knees. And a neutral position will help the spine be a natural curve of the lumbar spine. Will help your knees and also will maintain a healthy pelvic floor. So, keeping that in mind, place your block where you want it for mountain pose. As we stand nice and tall with a neutral pelvis, palms outward, shoulders back and down, and we'll take 6 deep breaths. Let's take one more inhale together and exhale. And on the inhale, keeping the spine where it is, or raise the arms up. And on the exhale, we'll come down. We'll do 5 more. Inhaling the arms up, coming into cactus if that's more comfortable. Exhaling the arms down. 4 more to go, your own pace with your own breath. Make sure there's space between the shoulders and the ears. You can really feel the heat building in the body. One more big breath. And exhale, release the arms down. And we can release the block because we don't need it until we get back on the floor. And next up will be goddess pose. So I invite you to step the feet about 3 feet apart, and instead of having the toes forward as you would in a forward fold, we're going to bring them out about 45 degrees. So, in order to keep a neutral pelvic floor, it's going to be super important that this tailbone is constantly pulling toward the back of your head. So when you come down into goddess, don't tuck your tailbone under. You're going to bring the booty back. So it should look like this. You can even lean forward a little bit if you need to maintain a nice natural spine. And sometimes I'll say a flat back or a flat spine. Really, I mean a natural curve in the lower back and a straight upper back. If you have knee problems, it might work better for you just to stay here instead of coming into your lunge or your squat. And that means that you're pushing into the ground with your feet and you're pushing the feet outward. So your butt is still sticking out slightly. You can engage the butt cheeks and feel the inner legs engage as well. So that's another easier option. Pick what's going to work best for you. And as far as arms go, you can hold them straight up, making sure the shoulders stay down, or you can come into cactus or hands at the hips. Find what works best for you today. It may be different than what worked yesterday, and that's fine. And you'll see your posture will look a lot different than everyone else who's doing this class. Okay, we'll inhale together nice and tall. Exhale, nice straight back. Come down into goddess pose. A nice stretch for the pelvic floor. And we'll be here for 6 deep breaths. Don't forget the tailbone constantly pulls toward the back of the head. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll release. And you can bring the feet back together. Catch your breath for a moment, palms out. Just stand and breathe for just a couple seconds. And now we'll move into a forward fold. And with the forward fold, we'll step out about 3 feet as we did before, only this time instead of the feet rotated out at 45 degrees, you're going to keep them straight forward. Now, it depends on how you're feeling today, how your pelvic floor is doing, It's possible that just pressing into the ground and engaging your booty and your inner thighs will be enough for you. And that's fine. You can just stand here like this and get the same benefit as you would if you're leaning down. If you are ready and are okay with leaning forward, I would invite you to bend your knees as generously as you need to, pulling the tailbone toward the back of the head as you come down toward your edge. So in this posture, we're really working on stretching the back of the legs. And again, if you have tight hamstrings, you're probably going to have to bend your knees even more than you might expect. So the knees are bent. I'm coming forward. The back is nice and straight. And if you have the flexibility, you can have a block in front of you or even come all the way to the floor. But only if you can maintain a straight back and constantly have that tailbone coming back up. For me, that's just not accessible at this point in my life. So find what works best for you. Remember, we're relaxing the neck. We're constantly pulling the tailbone back and come only as far as you can while maintaining a straight back. We'll inhale together nice and tall through the back and the spine. Exhale, hinge at the hips, bending the knees as generously as you need to. Come into your version of a forward fold. Nice deep breaths, and you can shift your weight toward the front of the feet if you need a little more of a stretch. And we'll be here for 5 more breaths. Let's take one more deep inhale. On an exhale, engage your pelvic floor, bringing the body back upright and stepping the feet together as we transition into downward dog. There are lots of different ways to do downward dog, and if you've taken some of my other classes, you've heard a lot of this before. If you have a wall available and want to be able to push against something, I recommend having some blocks against your wall. But of course, you can always just go straight down to the floor. The other thing to keep in mind is, again, the tailbone is constantly going to be pulling toward the back of the head in this posture to help maintain a straight back and a natural curve in the spine, or natural curve in the lower spine. So my knees are bent a lot because I have very tight hamstrings. I'm going to pull my booty toward the back of my head as my arms are pushing my body back toward my butt. And this is my version of downward dog. Find what works best for you today, maybe with the less flowing shirt that I have on today. Now I know for next time. And we'll come into this together. So let's inhale. Exhale very gently, bring the body down and come feet hip distance apart. Nice line, kind of a triangle with the body as you hold your version of downward dog. Relax the neck, nice deep breaths. Let's take one more inhale. And on the exhale, very, very gently drop both knees down to the floor. And we're going to rotate onto our backs for bridge pose. Now with bridge, I recommend keeping your blocks handy because you might want to use them. Your first option with bridge is to put a block between the thighs, or just hold your legs hip distance apart. But the block can actually help. And since we're focused on stretching the pelvic floor, not necessarily strengthening today, we're going to rest the sacrum on another block. So your booty would raise up. The block, and whatever height you prefer today, will be rested on the sacrum, not your lower spine, but the sacrum. Shoulders are relaxed. The chest comes toward the chin, and the chin goes toward the sky. Nice, even stretch. Let's come into this together. Keep your block or blocks handy as we inhale. Exhale, raise your booty up. Set your block on whatever height you want today on the sacrum. Rest back down. Arms rest at the sides, and make sure that your chest is coming toward your chin. Chin is toward the sky. And in this posture, you'll really notice the belly coming up if you're breathing correctly with your inhale. We'll be here for 6 breaths. Let's take one more deep inhale. On the exhale, raise your rear end up as you remove your block. Set the body back down. And I invite you to raise the knees so that the hips are at 90 degrees to help release the muscles in the lower back. Shoulders are down. Don't pull the knees toward your chest because you want to make sure that your sacrum stays on the floor. And we'll be here for 6. And if you want, feel free to close your eyes. One more inhale. On the exhale, release the legs back down. Keep the legs zipped tight together as you grab your blocks and set them on either side of your body. With the sacrum nice and flat on the floor, I invite you to butterfly your legs into cobbler's pose. Sacrum's flat on the floor, legs are nice and gently resting on the blocks. And again, you can move the height on the blocks anywhere you need them. Just find what feels good today. And we'll be here for 6 breaths. I invite you to take one more deep inhale. And on the exhale, use your fingers to guide those legs back upright, and then extend both legs out as wide as the mat if you'd like. And I will go diagonal because I don't have much space today. And we'll rest here in Savasana, shoulder blades tucked under the chest, palms up. And take a few moments to breathe. Recognize how your body feels. Do a quick little check-in. Hopefully your pelvic floor feels more calm and relaxed. No tension. And the hips, back, legs, shoulders, everything should feel as if it's relaxing toward the floor. I invite you to close your eyes and deepen your breath as we lay here in silence just for a few moments to take in the feel of your body after practice. When you're ready, I invite you to start wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Maybe bring some motion to the arms and the legs and bring awareness back to the room. And then roll yourself onto one side into a fetal position and breathe. And when you're ready, push yourself with your hands into a seated position. I thank you for joining me today and for welcoming me in on your journey to better pelvic floor health. I hope you enjoyed this class, and I really hope to see you again tomorrow. Thanks again for coming. Namaste.